You've probably been told that once kidney function drops near stage 4 or 5, dialysis is the only path forward. But here's what's often left out. Over 786,000 Americans live with end-stage kidney disease, and more than 70% of them are on dialysis, according to the National Kidney Foundation. Many of them could have delayed or even avoided it with the right plan, but most never receive that plan. Doctors tend to focus on prescriptions and lab monitoring. They often do not explain how to protect your kidneys through food, lifestyle, and inflammation control. As a doctor, I've worked with seniors who stabilized kidney function and delayed dialysis for years using a practical, science-backed approach. Think about your kidneys this way. They are like two complex filtration systems working 24 hours a day to filter your blood. Every drop of blood in your body passes through your kidneys roughly 40 times per day. Now imagine what happens when those filters get clogged or overworked. They start letting the wrong things through, like protein, and stop clearing out waste properly. This is when toxic buildup starts damaging your other organs, raising your blood pressure, and making you feel tired, nauseous, or swollen. So here is the real question. If those filters are damaged, is there anything you can do to reduce the damage or even protect what function is left? Yes, and that is exactly what this video is about. You are going to learn a very specific 3-step plan that helps protect your kidneys and slow the damage that leads to dialysis. This is not a vague wellness guide. These are clinically relevant, nutrition and lifestyle-based strategies that many nephrologists simply do not have the time to explain in detail during a rushed appointment. And here is something even more important. At the end of this video, I'm also going to share a bonus tip that can help reduce inflammation and protein leakage, which is one of the biggest predictors of kidney failure. It is a practice that most patients and even many healthcare professionals rarely discuss, yet it has made a real difference in many of my clients. Let's start with step 1. Cut the kidney killers. One of them is hiding in your healthy foods. If you are serious about avoiding dialysis, the very first step you must take is to stop what is silently damaging your kidneys every single day. You cannot start healing until you stop the harm. And one of the most overlooked facts is that this damage often comes from everyday foods people assume are harmless or even healthy. That is why I always say this step matters more than any supplement or medication. Because until you take pressure off your kidneys, no other treatment will be fully effective. The biggest offender for many people is sodium. Not just the salt you add at the table, but the kind hidden in sauces, canned foods, frozen meals, deli meats, and even so-called healthy snacks. The average person in the United States consumes about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day, which is more than double the safe limit for people with any level of kidney damage. Chronic high sodium intake causes your body to retain water, which raises your blood pressure. And high blood pressure is a direct enemy of your kidneys. When blood pressure rises, your kidneys are forced to filter against greater force. Over time, this increased pressure causes the delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys to weaken and scar, which speeds up the decline of your glomerular filtration rate. That is why many patients with stage 3 or 4 chronic kidney disease also have poorly controlled blood pressure, even on medication. Because their sodium intake is constantly resetting the damage. Let me ask you, do you check the sodium content on the labels of your bread, your soup, or even your cereal? Most people do not, and that is exactly where the problem starts. Comment below if you read nutrition labels or if this is something you plan to start doing. Processed and packaged foods are designed for shelf life, not kidney safety. And it gets worse. Another silent kidney killer hiding in many processed foods is phosphorus additives. Phosphorus is used in baked goods, meats, sodas, and even coffee creamers to improve texture or taste. The problem is, your body absorbs 90 to 100% of these synthetic phosphorus compounds, compared to only 40 to 60% from natural food sources. This means your kidneys are being flooded with phosphorus from hidden sources you may never suspect. High phosphorus levels in your blood can lead to a condition called vascular calcification, where calcium and phosphorus deposit into your arteries and your kidney tissues. This raises your risk of cardiovascular events and speeds up kidney scarring. You may be wondering, why do doctors rarely mention phosphorus when you are first diagnosed? The truth is, most physicians focus on what shows up on blood labs, and phosphorus levels do not usually rise until damage has already occurred. That is why proactive changes are so important. If you are already dealing with stage 3 or 4 chronic kidney disease, you cannot afford to wait for phosphorus to show up high. You must assume the damage is already happening, especially if your diet contains packaged foods, sodas, or processed meats. Another dietary factor that many people do not manage well is protein. Yes, protein is necessary, but too much protein in the later stages of kidney disease can be harmful. When you consume protein, your kidneys must filter the waste products created during digestion. These include urea and nitrogen compounds, which can be toxic when allowed to build up in the bloodstream. When kidney function is already reduced, the filtering units called nephrons have to work harder to process this protein load. Over time, this accelerates kidney damage. I have seen this mistake in many patients who were following high-protein diets for weight loss, thinking they were doing something good. One of my clients in her early 60s was eating large servings of lean chicken and fish daily. She thought because they were low in fat, they were safe, but her blood urea nitrogen was climbing, and her creatinine levels kept getting worse. Once we adjusted her protein to a more kidney-safe amount and swapped out animal proteins with some plant-based ones, her labs began to stabilize within 3 months. So how much protein is too much? That depends on your stage of chronic kidney disease, your body weight, and your activity level. But one thing is for sure, if you are in stage 3 or higher, you should not be eating the same amount of protein as a bodybuilder or someone without kidney issues. Have you ever been told to reduce protein, but never knew how much is too much? Let me know in the comments if you have been confused by protein recommendations. Many patients only get vague instructions without real numbers or examples. And we cannot forget about sugar. Hidden sugars in processed foods are a major cause of kidney failure in the United States. High blood sugar damages the tiny vessels in your kidneys and causes diabetic nephropathy, which is the #1 cause of end-stage renal disease. Even if you are not diabetic, a diet high in added sugars can cause insulin resistance, promote inflammation, and contribute to fat accumulation in the liver and kidneys. This is why cutting back on sugary cereals, juices, granola bars, and yogurts with added sweeteners is critical. You do not want to be in the position where you think you are eating healthy because the package says organic or low fat, but the sugar content is quietly raising your blood sugar every day. So what can you do instead? Choose real, whole foods as much as possible. Cook with fresh ingredients. Use herbs like rosemary, garlic, thyme, and lemon juice instead of salt. Stay away from deli meats, canned soups, and processed frozen meals. Avoid fast food entirely if you can. And here is one more step most people overlook. If your phosphate levels are elevated on blood tests, ask your doctor if phosphorus binders are right for you. These medications can help reduce absorption of phosphorus in your digestive tract, which helps lighten the burden on your kidneys. Let me ask you this. Do you read food labels for sodium, phosphorus, or added sugars? Do you know how many grams of protein you're actually eating per day? If the answer is no, it might be time to start keeping track. Even 1 week of careful food tracking can show you exactly where the kidney killers are hiding in your diet. Drop a comment if you already track your intake or if this is something you are ready to try. I would love to know where you are starting from. So now that we have stopped adding fuel to the fire, it is time to start focusing on repair and nourishment. Next is step 2. Nourish the nephrons. This is where you learn how targeted nutrients can support actual kidney healing, and one of them is so powerful, I'm surprised more doctors do not talk about it. Stick with me, because the last part of this step might surprise you. Before we move forward, I would love to hear from you. Share in the comments where you are watching from, or what kidney health goal matters most to you right now. If you find these strategies useful and want more content like this, type the number 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your response helps shape what I bring to you next. Now, let us continue. Most people are told what to avoid when their kidneys are struggling, but very few are taught what to actually eat to help kidneys recover. Avoiding damage is important, but your body also needs the right nutrients to heal. When your kidneys are inflamed or scarred, they lose function over time. But there is evidence that proper nutritional support can reduce that scarring, improve filtration, and even lower inflammation markers in your blood. One of the first nutrients I always look at in a patient's plan is omega-3 fatty acids. These are found in foods like flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and small fatty fish like sardines or wild salmon. The benefit of omega-3 fatty acids is that they help reduce chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is one of the silent forces that damages the nephrons over time. National Institutes of Health studies have shown that omega-3 supplementation can lower protein in the urine, which is a direct marker of kidney stress. When your kidneys leak protein, that means the filters are being damaged. So when proteinuria improves, that is a sign the damage is slowing. Do you take omega-3s or eat foods rich in them regularly? Comment below if you do or if you plan to add them to your routine. Another nutrient that gets ignored far too often is vitamin D. It is not just for bone health. In chronic kidney disease, vitamin D deficiency is extremely common. The kidneys help activate vitamin D into its usable form, and when kidney function drops, so does your active vitamin D level. Low levels contribute to a condition called secondary hyperparathyroidism, where the parathyroid glands overproduce hormones to try and balance calcium and phosphorus. That leads to bone loss, calcium deposits, and even faster decline in kidney function. Supplementing with the right form of vitamin D, especially under the supervision of your nephrologist, can help regulate this balance. Always make sure your vitamin D levels are tested before starting large doses. Do not assume over-the-counter amounts are always safe or effective without guidance. Magnesium is another mineral that plays a vital role in kidney health, but it rarely gets attention. Magnesium helps reduce the absorption of phosphate in the gut, which lightens the load on your kidneys. It also plays a role in reducing oxidative stress and inflammation. Many people are magnesium deficient due to poor soil quality in food and high-stress lifestyles. Magnesium is found in seeds, leafy greens, and beans, but the form matters. If your potassium is high, some magnesium-rich foods might need to be limited, so it is important to individualize the approach. I often recommend magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate in safe doses, based on labs. Then there is coenzyme Q10. This is something I have been recommending more often because early research shows promising benefits for kidney patients. Coenzyme Q10 helps support the mitochondria, which are the energy factories inside your cells. The nephrons in your kidneys have a high energy demand because they filter all day long. When those cells are stressed, they lose mitochondrial function, which affects filtration. A study published in 2019 found that coenzyme Q10 supplementation improved glomerular filtration rate in patients with chronic kidney disease. That is a rare result in nutrition research, and it is worth paying attention to. Have you ever heard of coenzyme Q10 being used for kidney health? Let me know in the comments if this is new to you. Another important step is to correct something called low-grade metabolic acidosis. This condition is common in people with kidney disease, where the body becomes slightly too acidic. The kidneys are responsible for balancing the pH in your body, and when they lose function, acid builds up. This low-grade acidity contributes to inflammation, bone loss, and further damage to kidney tissue. One of the most natural ways to help correct this is by increasing your intake of alkaline-forming foods. These include fruits and vegetables that leave behind alkaline residues after digestion, helping neutralize acid. Bicarbonate supplements are sometimes prescribed for this, but food can play a big role. Leafy greens, cucumbers, cauliflower, and even lemons support this process. Some of the best kidney-friendly foods are surprisingly simple. Red bell peppers are low in potassium, but high in antioxidants like vitamin C and beta-carotene. Blueberries are full of phytonutrients that help reduce oxidative stress. Cabbage contains compounds that support detoxification. Garlic has both anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties, which can support both kidney and heart health. Cauliflower is a great low-potassium substitute for rice or potatoes, and it is full of fiber and compounds that support liver function too. Cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil adds healthy fats without overloading phosphorus, and flax seeds are one of the best plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids. But while these foods help, there are also foods you need to be cautious with, even if they seem healthy. Spinach and beets are high in oxalates, which can contribute to kidney stones or worsen inflammation in certain cases. Some so-called renal snacks on the market are actually full of preservatives, added sugars, and hidden phosphorus. Also, be careful about over-supplementing calcium without checking your phosphorus levels. If your calcium is high and your phosphorus is also elevated, you could be contributing to soft tissue calcification, which increases your cardiovascular risk. Let me share a quick example from my own experience. One of my clients had stage 3B chronic kidney disease and was struggling to get her proteinuria under control. We shifted her to a plant-heavy, low-acid, renal-friendly diet rich in foods like blueberries, cabbage, garlic, and olive oil. She cut out processed snacks and focused on fresh, balanced meals. After just 6 months, her protein in the urine dropped by 40%, and her glomerular filtration rate stabilized. That is the power of targeted nutrition. What is your favorite anti-inflammatory food from the list I mentioned earlier? Or are there any kidney-friendly foods you eat regularly that you want to recommend? Share it in the comments and let others benefit from your experience too. Sometimes just one change can make a big difference. Stick with me, because the last step is powerful, and I bet you have not heard of one of the core mechanisms that makes it work. Let us move into step 3. Optimize blood flow and pressure. This is where we deal with one of the biggest silent threats to your kidneys, and how small changes can make a lasting difference. Let us now get into the third part of this strategy, which many people overlook, even though it plays one of the biggest roles in whether kidney damage slows down or continues silently. When people think about kidney failure, they often focus on food, but there is something just as critical happening on the inside that you cannot feel. This is blood flow and pressure, and how it is managed every single day. Poor circulation and uncontrolled blood pressure are two of the most silent and dangerous threats to your kidneys. The damage does not always cause pain or symptoms right away, but it can lead to irreversible scarring and shrinking of the filtering units over time. That is how many people end up on dialysis even when they thought they were doing everything right. High blood pressure puts stress on the small, delicate vessels inside your kidneys. These vessels are responsible for feeding oxygen-rich blood into the nephrons, which are the kidney's tiny filters. When blood pressure rises, it causes these vessels to narrow and stiffen. As that happens, oxygen delivery decreases, and your kidney tissue starts to lose the ability to repair itself. Over time, the lack of oxygen causes fibrosis, which is a type of permanent scarring. The kidneys cannot regenerate well once fibrosis sets in. This is why even blood pressures that seem only slightly elevated, like 140/90, can still cause slow and steady damage. Most people think that if they are not feeling dizzy or lightheaded, then their blood pressure must be fine. But research shows that the ideal blood pressure target for people with chronic kidney disease is under 130/80. This is based on guidelines from both the American Diabetes Association and the Kidney Disease, Improving Global Outcomes Foundation. If your blood pressure is higher than that most days, your kidneys are likely under stress, even if your doctor says it is not urgent. Another part of this equation is oxygen delivery. People with chronic kidney disease often develop anemia, which means the red blood cells are too low or do not carry enough oxygen. Without enough oxygen, your tissues do not heal well, and your kidney cells get weaker. Anemia in kidney disease is caused by reduced production of a hormone called erythropoietin. This hormone is normally made by the kidneys and signals your bone marrow to make red blood cells. So as kidney function declines, your ability to make red blood cells declines too. That means even if your circulation is okay, the oxygen in your blood may still not be enough to protect your kidneys from damage. Have you had your hemoglobin or ferritin levels checked recently? If yes, share in the comments whether they were in the normal range or not. If you have not checked them yet, that might be something to ask your doctor about. But it is not just about what goes wrong. There are powerful things you can do to support better blood flow and pressure naturally. For example, L-arginine and citrulline are two amino acids that help increase nitric oxide in your blood. Nitric oxide acts as a natural vasodilator. That means it helps your blood vessels relax and widen, improving circulation and reducing blood pressure. You can find these in supplement form or through foods like watermelon, legumes, and beets. Speaking of beets, beetroot is rich in nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Drinking beetroot juice has been shown in studies to help lower systolic blood pressure by several points. I have seen patients improve their morning blood pressure readings within 2 weeks of consistently adding beetroot to their plan. One of the easiest and most effective habits for circulation is walking. Just 30 minutes of walking each day helps stimulate small blood vessel growth, also called capillary development. That means your tissues receive better oxygen and nutrient delivery. Movement also helps lower blood sugar, manage weight, and reduce stress, which all benefit kidney health. Do you already walk regularly or plan to start? If you are looking for natural options, hibiscus tea and celery seed tea are two of the best herbal supports for blood pressure. Both have been studied for their effects on systolic blood pressure. Hibiscus in particular has shown results comparable to some mild blood pressure medications in clinical trials, without the side effects. Just make sure you are not allergic or sensitive, and speak with your doctor before combining these with medications. Many people do not realize that their tea cabinet can support their kidneys just as much as their meal plan can. One of the biggest mistakes I still see is people focusing only on medication and ignoring their lifestyle. Medications can be important, but they are not a replacement for daily habits. And many people make things worse by taking pain relievers like ibuprofen or naproxen regularly. These non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs increase pressure inside the kidney's filtering units and reduce blood flow to the nephrons. That makes the kidneys work harder under already stressed conditions. If you are using over-the-counter pain medications regularly, talk to your doctor about safer alternatives for kidney health. There are a few more tips that I consider essential. First, get a home blood pressure monitor. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Tracking your daily readings helps you see trends and share better data with your care team. Second, hydrate in a balanced way. Do not drink too little water because dehydration can stress your kidneys. But also do not overdo it, especially if your kidneys are not filtering well. Your hydration needs depend on your lab results, your stage of kidney function, and how much you are sweating or losing fluids. Third, cut back on caffeine if your blood pressure is consistently high. Caffeine raises blood pressure in some people, especially if they are under stress. A moderate amount can be okay, but several cups of strong coffee every day may not be helping your kidneys. What is your average blood pressure when you check it at home? Have you tried any natural approaches like beetroot or hibiscus tea? If you have, share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else take a positive step forward. Now let us move into the bonus tip, because this one has helped many of my patients see real change. You are about to learn one powerful practice that can help reduce protein leakage in the urine and protect your kidneys from the inside out. Let us now go into something that truly matters when it comes to slowing down kidney damage from the inside out. It is something that many doctors do not fully explain, but research has made very clear. I'm talking about protein in your urine, also called proteinuria. If you have ever had your urine tested and were told that there is protein in it, then that was not a small issue to ignore. The more protein that leaks into the urine, the more stress your kidney filters are under. It is one of the strongest signs that the kidneys are under pressure, and it often shows up long before a drop in your glomerular filtration rate. In fact, the presence of proteinuria is one of the earliest predictors of future kidney decline, especially in people with diabetes or high blood pressure. Have you ever had your urine tested for protein? If yes, comment below and share what the results were, if you feel comfortable. If you are not sure, that is a great question to ask your doctor at your next visit. Now, how can you address this naturally and consistently? One option that has been gaining attention in early research is controlled intermittent fasting. This approach focuses on timed eating rather than reducing calories. Some studies show that when eating windows are shortened and meal timing is adjusted, it can improve insulin sensitivity and lower glomerular pressure inside the kidneys. That pressure is one of the key reasons protein starts leaking through the filters. So anything that reduces internal kidney pressure may help reduce proteinuria. However, do not try fasting on your own without checking with your doctor, especially if you are on medications for blood sugar or blood pressure. Safety always comes first. Another powerful tool that more people are becoming aware of is a natural compound called berberine. This is a plant alkaloid that functions in a way that is very similar to the diabetes drug metformin. It helps regulate blood sugar and improves lipid metabolism, which supports overall cardiovascular and kidney health. But berberine also reduces inflammation, which is a major cause of protein leakage in the first place. One of my clients with stage 2 chronic kidney disease started using berberine with her doctor's guidance. Along with switching to a low-acid, plant-forward diet and adding turmeric, her urine protein levels dropped by over 30% in just 10 weeks. Her blood pressure and blood sugar also improved. That kind of change is significant because it tells us the damage is not just being slowed, but possibly being repaired. Speaking of turmeric, this golden spice contains a compound called curcumin. Curcumin has anti-inflammatory effects that reach deep into the kidneys, and early clinical trials have shown that it can reduce levels of C-reactive protein and protein in the urine. It is important to know that not all turmeric supplements are well absorbed, so look for one with piperine or another form that increases bioavailability. If you are already taking turmeric, how are you using it? Are you using it in your cooking or as a supplement? Another approach to support better kidney filtration is adjusting your diet. A low-acid, moderate protein, and high-fiber diet reduces the strain on your glomeruli, which are the filters inside the kidneys. Animal proteins and processed foods tend to increase acid load, which worsens protein leakage. A plant-heavy diet with the right balance of fiber and nutrients helps keep the environment inside your kidneys more stable. It is not just about how much protein you eat, but the quality and timing of it. Many people do not realize that too much protein at once, especially animal protein, can spike kidney workload. Have you ever tried tracking your protein intake for a few days? It might surprise you to see how it adds up. One lifestyle habit that may seem small, but can actually make a big difference, is elevating your legs for 15 to 20 minutes each day. This helps improve venous return, which means it allows blood to flow more easily back to your heart and kidneys. When kidneys are not filtering well, fluid can start pooling in the lower body. That causes swelling in the feet, ankles, or legs, which is called edema. Regularly elevating your legs can reduce that pressure and support better kidney circulation. It is simple, free, and something you can do at home without needing special equipment. In the next video, I'm going to show you a strategy that very few people are using, but it could make a huge difference in your overall kidney function and how you feel day to day. So stay with me and make sure you are subscribed.